So traveling out of the country and seeing how other cultures live and thrive in this crazy world has always been a dream of mine. Too bad I'm hella broke! At least we have this fantastic show that helps us learn more about the world, while also having that strong, independent woman that takes on that Robin Hood perspective. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jason Blade, and this is a Bat's perspective of Carmen Sandiego. So, a couple of months ago, I decided to take to Twitter about possible shows that I can look into. I received a good variety of options to choose from the older and current generations, with some having those side comments. However, the one that intrigued me the most was Carmen Sandiego, that was suggested by Sci-Fi Elements. When I finally got around to watch the series, it did not disappoint me in the slightest. Carmen Sandiego was released on Netflix in mid-January this year. It's about a woman who grew up being raised by a thief organization named Vile. She aspired to join the organization when she was old enough and to travel the world she was eager to explore. However, when she discovered the organization's true intentions, she decided to escape the home she knew and take on a new persona of Carmen Sandiego. Now, originally when I looked this up, I didn't know that the series is one of many reincarnations. So I was surprised about the history I learned from the little research I did after watching the series. Starting off as a video game, to a kids game show, to the cartoon series back in the mid to late 90s. The character had her fair share of reincarnations. This latest one seemed to be the most interesting one yet. Unlike what we've seen in the past, Carmen Sandiego is not portrayed as a villain. Instead, she has a more of an anti-hero or Robin Hood-like figure to her in this Netflix original. Having a partnership with Player instead of being the main antagonist for him really fleshed out the relationship even more so. And speaking of Player, this incarnation gives him a whole new life. They do include him into the world a lot more and gave me that spy techie vibe to him. He's got a lot more of a personality and his interactions with the rest of the cast is very excellent. While for Ivy and Zach, the two worked very well as the partners for Carmen too. They do bring out the more comedic aspects to the show, especially Zach and his huge distaste for fish. The Sandiego crew has a very nice mold with each having a distinct personality that intrigues me on what they're going to do next. Going into the Vile organization, they also have a wide variety of personalities amongst the faculty and agents, although they're not as fleshed out. Outside of the small bickering the faculty and agents have, there isn't a lot to show that prevents them from seeming to be very one-dimensional. I do hope we get to see more interactions of Graham, Tigress, and Shadowson in future seasons, since they appear to be the most fleshed out of the Vile organization and is considered to have the strongest relationship with Carmen out of all the characters on this side. We can't also forget about Acme, a hidden organization whose sole purpose is to expose Vile and destroy it. Unlike Vile, the Acme crew has very few characters who are involved in that organization and are a lot more fleshed out than their villainous counterparts. The main two we'll focus on in this group is Chase Deveneaux and Julia Argent. The two started off not being a part of Acme, but as a part of the Interpol agency. They were the first to get close to capturing Carmen Sandiego. So the two were chosen by Acme to be agents for them to keep track on Carmen and her connections with Vile. Chase is the cocky veteran who does rash things before thinking logically of the situation, while Julia is the more rational of the two, and she tries her best to look deep into the crime scenes and is very knowledgeable in the historical aspects that are involved. These two personalities honestly have the best interactions of the show. The two easily adds even more comedy as Chase screws everything up while Julia has to clean up his mess. All the misunderstandings Chase has compared to Julia's logical thinking pair up like two peas in a pod. We can tell the two care for each other a lot, and you can't help but root that they will be able to figure things out and put Acme in the best place to defeat Vile. Diving into how the episodes are structured, they do an excellent job of introducing the country that they are visiting at the time. The way they introduce interesting facts about a country is much subtler and fitting, and it doesn't take away from the story that's being told in the episode overall. For me, it's very important to have that with a series that has an overall story such as this one. Without that subtlety, it'll take you right out of the moment and you can easily tell when it's fact time. So making sure that the transition to that part of the episode is smooth is important, which is what gives Carmen Sandiego a lot of praise from me because it does that so well. And speaking of the story, it's a fairly simple one and there aren't many surprises that come out of it. However, the execution of how the story is being told is beautiful to watch. Getting a chance to know the backstory of Carmen and seeing her go through this journey of taking down Vile, while also trying to learn about where she came from and what got her to Vile in the first place, is something genuine that you have to root for her. Carmen's relationship with each character differs heavily from person to person. Heck, even in each group, we see two characters that have opposite feelings towards her. Like for the Vile operatives, Graham's relationship with her has a different weight with their strong friendship from the academy days compared to Tigress, who has a deep rivalry with her. For the faculty, Shadow-san is stricter and cutthroat with Carmen, while Coach Brunt was more of a mother figure for her. Those are some prime examples of how well established each of their relationships are with Carmen. Now getting into the animation has one of the most unique styles I've seen in a long time. It's very rare these days when you see animated series with no line art, and this series gives us a breath of fresh air in that regard. The style also brings out the most in the different locations they visit during their adventures. The colors being used are more naturalistic and makes the animation pop more, especially when we see the apparel Carmen Sandiego sports come to life with every graceful move she makes. The action scenes are what takes it for me when it came to the animation. Each battle we see the three crews have with each other always heightens at the right time. My most favorite are the car chase scenes that occur. The shots they show during those scenes gives us excellent views of the landscape. Also, the car models are very slick and awesome to see. I will say when it comes to the technology side of things, it's a bit underwhelming when it comes to the unique designs and abilities that each gadget has. However, I can understand that they did not want to throw too many spy-related features because they do want the story to be the focal point. But I don't know, I just like crazy gadgets that come into play with these sorts of shows. The music in this show has a very subtle and interesting tone to it. Each episode had their own unique soundtrack that was fitting to the country that they were in at that time. Plus, certain soundtracks that were used for specific characters really brought out the most of when that character is introduced. Paper Star is a prime example of that. With her more psychotic childlike nature and her ability to create origami weapons, the music that was chosen for her was a creepy music box-like theme. That track, included with her soft tone when she sings, really feeds the creepy atmosphere whenever she enters the room. Overall, the show is definitely worth to watch. This version of Carmen Sandiego is the most unique out of the versions prior to it. Plus, the intrigue of Carmen herself and her journey in discovering her past really keeps you interested. Most of the characters are one-dimensional, but they have a lot of flavor to them. The story is somewhat predictable, but it's executed well. I would recommend this to those who are interested in seeing Carmen Sandiego in a different role than in past incarnations. It's also a solid choice for those who prefer the action shows to be subtler too. I'm looking forward to seeing what the show will have to offer in future seasons and awaiting where Carmen Sandiego will travel next. Thanks for taking the time to see this vast perspective. If you would like to see other perspectives, click the videos to the left. If you want to be the first to see future videos, click the subscribe and bell icon to get the latest from me. Until then, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.